I realize this is one of the most coveted jobs in the National Hockey League, and I certainly feel fortunate to be sitting here today.
It was a cool day. It was definitely a neat day. I thought everything was done great. The fact that to have my parents there and my wife and kids there, that's really neat. My parents both have strong connections to Detroit. My dad told me the best part of the day was meeting Ted Lindsay, and he went right up to him and introduced himself. And so that's a cool thing to share with family. Whether I think about my parents and the journey it's been to get to this point, everything they've done for me in my life, really mostly by example. They've been unbelievable examples of hard work, but also I think handling professionalism versus family. And my mom and my dad both had great careers in their own right, but family was always the most important for sure. And they taught me that you can have that balance, that you can do both. My mom is a nursing administrator. Ultimately started off as a nurse and then into a nursing administrator, and she still does some of that work today. My dad is a cop that then moved into a professor, and at one point was the dean of the College of Arts, Letters, and Social Sciences at Lake State. But both of them, I think my father at one point was told not to go to college, that he wouldn't make it, by his high school counselor. I think my mom grew up in a small, tiny town in Hubbardston, Michigan, and a farming community. And to think back then, especially you go back the number of years, she had to, got dropped off by her brothers at the train or bus station and take that into downtown Detroit. What a scary thing for somebody from just a tiny little town and a young woman, and go to nursing school there, and she persevered. So, those were just great examples. I don't know, would I become a hockey player? That's really hard to say. By moving up to Lake Superior, we moved right on campus. Their college hockey team, my dad and I would go to the games early on in my life, and that probably started my passion for hockey. And I know it started my passion for hockey. And so he I think it was a good route for our family. I think he made a real family decision, but it also ended up being a great decision for him. He would say that his best years, he loved being a professor. He loved it. Him and I are probably similar in a sense that we don't probably ever feel like we've worked too much in our lives. We've been able to have a profession that matches our passion, and you don't feel like it's work when you have that. With my wife and my kids, just going through the journey together, it's been incredible. I said today, we've moved lots, and one thing I think is a result of that is it actually draws you closer as a group. And I think my wife and I's relationship is only strengthened because of all the different moves. I think my kids rely on each other a lot because of that, and I think that's a real neat thing. I got to bring my kids on the field. I asked if I could do that. These transitions aren't easy for them, and they're getting old enough where it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for them to leave their friends. But, so I think when they can do some cool things like that, that's obviously something that most kids don't get an opportunity to do. I think as a father and as parents, we just have to make sure they understand how special that is and that it doesn't come around every day. There's parts of it that it's a job that I'm looking forward to. It's a job, and I'm looking forward to it, and I feel real prepared for it, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. There's a few moments you have where you kind of realize what it is. When we drove into downtown Detroit the night before, we drove by Joe Louis, and there's a little flutter in your heart that says, "Hey, I'm going to be the head coach of the Red Wings." Last night at the baseball game, we sat in the stands and watched the game, and had lots of people come up to me, congratulating me, wishing me luck, and just a lot of go Red Wings. And when that happens, it's kind of a moment where you're like, hey, this is a pretty big deal. This is a pretty cool thing. And those were a couple moments, I'd say, where it kind of hits you that it's you're the head coach of the Red Wings. That's real neat. Sebastian Jeffrey who sent me a text and said that he stood up and clapped for 30 minutes when he saw it on the TV, and I just thought that's as cool as you get, boy. I thanked him and then made sure he was a big part of any success that I've had, even in that time in 1 year. So texts like that are awesome to get. Part of the reason I do this, there's an intrinsic feeling when you help guys get better, when you grow as groups together, and we certainly did that. And to receive that text was a really neat thing. If you just walk through my development as a coach, Ferris State, Bob Daniels, and Drew Famlek, the assistant there. I think sometimes what gets downplayed is the people you work with. They can have as big an impact on you as who you work for, and both of those were huge mentors for me. Learned a ton. I went from there to Miami. It was a really unique experience. Miami had kind of been that good. It kind of follows that good to great book. I think they had kind of been a good organization, and through time, I think we helped make it a great organization. But we learned so much as a group of 3 young coaches with Rico and Chris Bergeron. Chris Bergeron is somebody that's been one of my best friends. We used to have great battles. But it was in a way to make us better. It was awesome. And then I've learned from so many. I went to the USHL. Mark Carlson, PK O'Hanley were 2 longtime coaches in the USHL. They took me under their wing to a large degree. I've learned a ton with my relationship with John Cooper. That will be one that helps prepare me now in the NHL. I talked to him last night as he's going through a Stanley Cup final run. Those are big influences. So there's just so many people that have been impactful in my life. I'm very, very thankful for it, and I've certainly learned a lot from all of them.